News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moskow.
Karen, the war with Iran has reached the end of its second week, and there is little sign of let-up in the attacks or the rhetoric. Both sides are striking a defiant tone, including Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, in his first public statement since the fighting began. We get the very latest from Bloomberg Middle East correspondent Jumana Bersetchi in Dubai.
It is fair to say that the messaging was one of defiance. He's saying that they are vowing to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. Other fronts will be opened up as well. They will continue their strikes on U.S. bases, and therefore it's a warning to Gulf states that as long as they continue to harbor those U.S. bases, they will continue to be targeted, and that they are looking for reparations, which is similar to the post that the president had put up the prior day, stipulating the conditions for them to come to the negotiating table.
Bloomberg's Jumana Bersetchi reports President Trump posted his own message on social media, warning the U.S. has, quote, unlimited firepower, unlimited ammunition, and plenty of time. The president also said Iran's leaders have been wiped from the face of the earth. But in his first press briefing since the war began, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said a regime is ultimately brought down from within.
Well, Nathan, Bloomberg News has learned Russian intelligence is supporting Iran's retaliation against the U.S., Israel, and Gulf allies. Sources say Moscow is providing Tehran with information including satellite imagery and drone targeting tactics. Tony Halpin leads our team covering Russia and Ukraine.
Russia and Iran have had close links for years. Iran was an early supplier of drones that Russia used when it first invaded Ukraine because it simply didn't have its own. It's now copied those Iranian drones. And it's helping Iran with intelligence like satellite data to spot targeting, and also giving some information about how they use these Iranian-style drones to evade Western and particularly American air defenses.
And Bloomberg's Tony Halpin says Russia has denied involvement.
And as the fighting goes on, Karen, oil continues to rise in price. Brent crude closed above $100 a barrel last night for the first time since August of 2022. This morning, Brent is trading just above $100 a barrel. It's down a bit in the session. West Texas Intermediate's trading just above 95. The U.S. has announced several measures to try to ease prices, including a waiver for buyers of Russian oil already at sea. But with the Strait of Hormuz all but shut down, Bloomberg's Will Kennedy reports these moves are having little impact.
And it seems that Iran is employing a strategy to really interfere with, halt all oil exports in the region by ship, apart from its own. It's important to remember that Iranian oil seems to be flowing fairly freely through the Strait of Hormuz, but it wants to stop tankers flowing both from the Persian Gulf and, it seems, with these attacks on Oman, from neighbors that stand outside the Persian Gulf.
Bloomberg's Will Kennedy reports Energy Secretary Chris Wright has said the U.S. Navy could begin escorting tankers through the strait by the end of the month. The International Energy Agency has called this war the biggest disruption to the oil market in history.
Well, Nathan, how much of an impact will these higher oil prices have on the consumer? We asked Bloomberg Economics Chief U.S. economist Anna Wong.
If oil stays above $100 per barrel, we estimate that that will cost the average American household an extra $1,900 this year. And that's $1,900 less to spend on everything else other than gasoline.
Bloomberg Economics Chief U.S. economist Anna Wong says the lower 60% of households by income spend a bigger share on gasoline, so the increase would hit them more than higher income households.
And Karen, President Trump is renewing his call for the Fed to cut rates as the world economy faces shockwaves from the war with Iran. In a social media post, the president wrote, quote, "Where is the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Too Late Powell today?" He went on to write, he should be dropping interest rates immediately, not waiting for the next meeting. For now, traders have sharply reduced bets for an interest rate cut this year.
Well, Nathan, another major story that we're following this morning involves an apparent terror attack here in the U.S. A man rammed his vehicle into a synagogue in Michigan. Bloomberg's John Tucker joins us with the very latest. John, good morning.
Good morning, Karen. A truck drove around some bollards that are meant to keep vehicles away from Temple Israel in West Bloomfield Township near Detroit. And that's how security personnel said they knew right away this vehicle was up to no good. It sped through the doors into a hallway and crashed. The driver, armed with a rifle, died after a shootout with security. Rabbi Jennifer Caluzzi says 140 kids were in the Temple Daycare Center at the time of the attack.
My God, I never thought I'd be standing here looking at my temple surrounded by SWAT and FBI and going out into the parking lot and grabbing babies to bring them to their parents. Never.
The driver's been identified as 41-year-old Ahmed Mohammed Ghazali, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Lebanon. Nobody inside the synagogue, one of the nation's largest Reform synagogues, was seriously hurt. Police say the truck contained fireworks as well as some sort of chemical agent that ignited after the crash. The FBI calling it a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. I'm John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
We want to turn to the equity markets now, Nathan, where futures are once again a little change to lower following yesterday's broad ranged sell-off on Wall Street. All three major indexes fell at least 1.5%. Charles Cantor, a senior portfolio manager at Neuberger Berman, talked about investing during these volatile times.
As you think about the war, for example, I think the war and investing have a lot of similarities. On the short term, life feels very uncomfortable, very uncertain, and unpredictable. And you've seen that today. And over the long term, the best businesses, the best capitalized businesses, the best businesses that can allocate capital, like the strongest armies, will ultimately win out.
And Neuberger Berman's Charles Cantor there. The VIX, Wall Street's fear gauge, continues to rise. Right now, it is closing in on 28.